Hi, I'm Wardrop. I make my living mainly by playing the steel string acoustic guitar. Over the past few years, my interests have expanded to include the design and structure of stringed instruments, and this video is a brief introduction to some of the skills that are required for that craft. What I love most about building instruments is the huge variety of tasks that it involves. As with any project, planning and design are vital stages, and accurate drawings help to ensure that a quality instrument is the result. The neck of this guitar is solid mahogany, and power tools such as this table saw help to ensure that vital cuts are made accurately and quickly. But extreme care must be taken and guidelines must be seen in good light. A quality instrument must be able to be adjusted, and here I'm routing a channel for an adjustable truss rod. This is a steel rod that runs the entire length of the neck and ensures that the shape of the neck can be matched to the shape of the vibrating string. This helps to make the instrument more comfortable and easy to play. Here's the truss rod, and it's going to be firmly glued in place with epoxy resin. In it goes, and over the top I'm going to place a maple strip. This gives a full wooden gluing surface for the fingerboard. Whereas epoxy resin is used for certain permanent joins that you never want to come apart, most of the time I use a glue called aliphatic resin or yellow glue. It bonds very quickly and is very strong, but it can be taken apart later should you need to do repairs. This is the process of joining the two halves of the back together. As you can see, heavy weights have been placed on the two plates of wood to stop anything from moving out of line, and now small wedges are being tapped into place to exert pressure on the glue line. Hopefully what we end up with is a nice, snug and tight glue line. When the glue's dried, the wedges are tapped back out and the weights are lifted off the wood to reveal the beautiful book match grain in the East Indian rosewood. Book matching produces mirrored images on either side of the centre line. This is not only a visually pleasing effect, but it also helps to balance the tone of the instrument. This paper has been placed on here to stop the back from sticking to the gluing board, and when it's removed, the beautiful book matched grains are revealed. There we are, a very pleasing sight. I believe that a guitar should not only sound great, but it should look good too, and I like to decorate the guitar with various pieces of shell, Pawa being one of my favourite. I collect the Pawa shell from the Kaikoura coast and I work it on the drill press on a sanding disc. It's not very pleasant stuff to work because it doesn't have a very nice smell and it's very brittle, but I think in the end the result is worth all the effort. I'm making pieces for the rosette now. The rosette is the decorative pattern that goes around the sound hole of the guitar. I'm cutting through the shell now with a jeweler's saw and making a small segment that will fit into the rosette. I place it in this small clamp and then pivot it around a point that is equal to the outside radius of the rosette. Swing it past the sanding disc and it comes out very close to that outside radius. I then place it into a hardwood mould and all the pieces get cut, and if they need a little bit of touching up by hand, I can do it at this stage. By making it into a hardwood mould, I protect the soft wood in the guitar's face. When it eventually goes in, it all goes in smoothly and easily as I've practiced. There's a little bit of mathematics involved in calculating how it all fits together, but if you do your homework, I find you get a nice, pleasing result. The heel of guitar is another lovely curve. This has to be carved in a particular sequence. There you can see the truss rod and you can see the shape of the heel that fits into the guitar so that there's a nice strong join. It has to be a strong join, and also this shape has to be a pleasant and comfortable shape to fit the guitarist's hand. It's carved with chisels. I use files, spoke shaves, scrapers, anything really to get to the end result. But there is a definite sequence that must be followed. Here I'm using a spoke shave to do the final shaping on a guitar neck. Everybody has their own favourite shape for the back of the neck, and I don't use any templates or anything. I work entirely by feel. I just keep shaving and sanding, filing until the neck feels right to my hand. The beauty of building your own guitars, of course, is that you can build them to fit the shape of your hand and the shape of your body. Here's a finished neck. As you can see, the frets are in place. Now I'm working on a soundboard. What I was doing was tapping the wood and hearing a note. The soundboard is the most essential part of the guitar in terms of the sound of the instrument. It works somewhat like a speaker diaphragm, and a bracing system must be built inside the soundboard that provides strength to take the tension of the strings, but is not so heavy that it restricts the movement of the wood, for it's the movement of the wood that is going to give the tone and the volume to the instrument you are building. Here we can see the rosette on the top of the face, and I'm placing a backing strip so that I can join another brace onto the inside of the soundboard. The braces are placed in an X shape, which gives a lot of strength, but also helps tonal characteristics. By placing this backing strip, I can put clamps on the brace without putting marks onto the face. The face of the guitar is spruce, and spruce is a softwood, so you have to be very careful that you don't mark it. There's a slight curve on the base of the brace, so that the curve is translated to the top. So although the guitar is called a flat top guitar, it's not actually flat. It does have a slight doming in it, which adds to strength and also to a little bit to the brightness of the sound. Now the brace is ready to be glued, and I place several clamps on it. Ideally, I would like to have a set of wooden clamps, but one works with what one has. And the idea with all these clamps is not to exert a huge amount of pressure on the brace, but rather to exert a small amount of pressure evenly along the length of the brace. Nothing needs to be tightened too much. If the wood surfaces are flat and straight, then a good join will be ensured. Off come the clamps. Once the clamps are off, I can then shape the brace. It's done with planes, chisels, and a graceful curve is what is aimed for. Once the overall shape has been done with the large plane as you see it being done here, I start to use smaller tools, and here I've made a small wooden plane that has a beveled edge so that I can work along the side of the brace without marking the face of the guitar. Quite a lot of material is removed from the brace in this manner. As you go along, you tap the top and you try to find a note that is going to sound good for the tone of the guitar. It's the wood that gives the guitar its whole tone, and there's a very lovely anagram. The word timbre, T-I-M-B-R-E, means the tonal characteristics of an instrument, and it just happens to be an anagram of the word timber, meaning wood, and the relationship is that close. It is the wood that's producing the sound, and by carving these braces and being very, very particular about how the wood is treated at this stage of the operation, helps to ensure that you have an instrument that sounds individual and has a quality tone. This is one of my favourite parts of building the guitar. There's something wonderful about carving wood. There's something wonderful about the fact that all these little pieces of wood put together with some steel strings in the end can produce music. That's the mystery to me. There's a craft in building the guitar, but I think the art is in getting the sound. It takes me about 200 hours to build an acoustic guitar. A professional would do a lot quicker than that, but it's a hobby for me. Guitars can be made from a variety of woods. Generally speaking, the ideal woods for the top are spruce, western red cedar, and redwood. These are soft woods that have a definite tone. The sides and the back are made from hardwoods, ideally rosewood, mahogany, maple. The top of the guitar is a resonator, and the back of the guitar is a reflector. And the balance between these two factors determine the tone and the volume and the projection of the instrument. I've made various specialised tools for building guitars, like these clamps. They're a special length and they're designed for gluing on bridges. Here's the inside of the guitar, ready for the back to go on and for assembly to be completed. And here's the completed instrument. This guitar has an English yew back, a tawa neck, and a red cedar top. It has a very sweet sound and is a lovely instrument to play. Each different combination of woods produces a different character and sound, and I sometimes think that tone in instruments is somewhat like wine tasting. There are subtleties there that the trained ear will pick up. Differences in timbre. This guitar is a nylon string guitar, mahogany and redwood, with some German marquetry as a rosette. I wanted this nylon string guitar to have a distinctly New Zealand character, so I made the rosette from gnarled totara. The head veneer also. Once the basic skills of luthiery have been achieved, one's not restricted to building guitars, and this instrument is a psaltery. It was built on commission for a specific recording purpose. It's fun to experiment with different shapes and different materials. Wood is a living substance. It is beautiful to work with, and it creates the most beautiful music. I often think of a quote about wood that was inscribed on the face of a medieval lute, and it reads, "I was alive in the forest. I was cut by the cruel axe. In life I was silent. In death I sweetly sing."